day, everyone. My name is Ernest Gutierrez. I'm a sales engineer at Onapsis. Today, we are in Cyber iCON 2024. I hope you are enjoying all the sessions. Today, with Onapsis, we are going to talk about how do you manage the cyber risk in your SAP systems. We are going to talk of the main challenges that our customers are seeing on their landscape, and also what are the next challenges, right, on the new S/4HANA migrations and moving to the RISE offering from SAP, what is covered, what is not covered on cybersecurity for SAP on the RISE. So first of all, let's talk about what is the complexity on in the security in SAP, right? So these 5 points that we are seeing here, it's what we have been told by different partners and different customers. What are the main challenges on talking about security or risk management in SAP? First of all, applications are easy targets. Every application is an easy target, and more when they are internet facing. But actually, ERPs are now the main place where the attackers are going with, because it's where all the money in the world is going through ERPs. So they are being really attacked on these applications. Then number two, sprawling SAP attack surface. So it's a huge landscape in SAP, where you have large data volumes, a lot of legacy systems, a lot of new systems, a lot of connections, integrations, where you need to cover all the attack surface for taking care of the security in SAP. Number three, it's about the inherent vulnerabilities and gaps that we have in the development that we have been doing in SAP for a long time. So there are systems we have been in the companies for more than 20, 30 years, and they have been code being developed 30 years ago, where it was considered that SAP was secure by default. And still some developers, well, as it says here from our sources, that 67% of the developers, they admit that they keep still known vulnerabilities and exploits in their code because they don't know probably how to solve those vulnerabilities, and they keep doing the same mistakes. Number four is risk identification and prioritization, right? So there are different tools used for securing SAP. Most of them, they are really, you need proper skills to work with these tools, and that's where we are trying to help as well. There's SAP, what I'm thinking is there are SAP teams, they don't know much about security, and security teams, they don't know much about SAP, and that's the problem that needs to be fixed, and what our customers are trying to fix, right? It's the main problem. And finally, the number five, it's a high cost of compliance, right? So we need to be compliant of many regulations and certifications, ISO, SOX, HIPAA, different depending on the country you are in. You need to follow several regulations, and every regulation needs to take care of different things, and it's a cost for the company to keep the system compliant all the time, right? What we are trying to achieve within Oracle is the blind spot, right? What is the gap that we are talking here in the middle, right? So we have, on the left-hand side, we have the SAP domain. We have our SAP teams dealing with cloud migrations, compliance, changes, digital transformations, and everything it's in SAP, right? And those usually it's SAP team taking care of all of these. Nowadays, you see the cyber attackers are also part of this subdomain, because in the past, as I mentioned before, it was considered that SAP was too difficult for attackers to get knowledge about SAP. But we have, within Onapsis, with our Onapsis Research Lab, we have identified that attackers, they now know what are the vulnerabilities in SAP. They know how to access the vulnerability and how to exploit those vulnerabilities, as well as how to get information about them. And then on the right side, we have the IT security, cyber management teams, which they are used to taking care more of the infrastructure, the network, etc. But they have no visibility on what we have on the left-hand side, on the SAP domain. What we are trying to, within Anapsys, we are trying to cover this gap between SAP and IT security teams. So you are able to see what's going on in SAP, what is the security, and to have a better collaboration between SAP team and InfoSec team, taking in consideration the different vulnerabilities about authorizations, which have been already taking part of the subdomains, configuration, interfaces, patching, and best practices, right? So it's something that part of it have been done by SAP team, but there was no control of the cybersecurity team, which it's something that they need to be aware. The CISO needs to be aware of what's going on in SAP to be able to approve remediations, etc. On Apsys, it's a market leading on SAP application security, right? So we are SAP endorsed app, the only SAP endorsed app in the for SAP on cybersecurity topics, and we are trying to help with our products on covering the different ERP systems, whether you have it on premise or whether you have it on cloud or whether you have it on in the RISE that we are talking a little bit later today about how to protect your SAP system. So on the right side, we have the 4 products that Anapsys has to help you on protect the different SAP systems that you have in your landscape. So ERPs, SCM, HIM, CRM, etc. So all the systems we can cover within 4 different products. We talk first of all on the vulnerability management, on Assess. Our product Assess will help you on identifying and prioritizing vulnerabilities and prioritizing them on when to mitigate them, which sub-security nodes needs to be patched, when to patch, and which one to prioritize before others. On the control side, the next one, it's DevSecOps, introducing the shift left into your development. It's introducing security right during development. Don't wait until you have your developments in your production system in order to introduce security. That will cause delays. We will talk later on about delays and failures on S/4HANA migrations, RISE migrations to the cloud because of security was not introduced, and then security team needs to block the migration or needs to extend the downtime because the sub-security was not in place before. Defend. It's a threat detection and response. So Anapsys is being able to read the SAP logs from the different sources of the different SAP systems that you have in your landscape and send them to the CM. So your SOC team will be able to action on the different alerts that we are discovering, we are alerting. That's helping you on not only on the Assess side, on the vulnerability management to patch your system, but also to get use of our AI and our Anapsys Research Lab to protect your system with the defend. You have a control of what your users are doing, what is happening if a threat is coming to your systems. It's try to block them as soon as possible. Identifying them, it's critical. Reading the logs, it's critical. And the last one, Comply, which is an add-on for Assess, but it's even if it's a small add-on or it's an add-on for Assess, it's a compliant automation. We need in order to work as on the compliancy of your SAP system, you need to be You need to scan your systems every now and then. And just to pass your audit once a year, it's not enough. You need to audit your system every day or at least every month, so you can ensure that when the auditor comes, all your system is compliant. And it's reducing the time, being that automate, it's reducing the time on the audit execution. Okay. Talking about SAP RISE and Anapsys, right? So probably we are talking today in a lot of cybersecurity teams, right? Which probably some of you don't know what SAP RISE is, but probably if you have SAP, you have heard about SAP RISE or S4HANA. So SAP RISE is a new framework from the last year, 2 years from SAP, where they are helping their customers, SAP customers, to have their SAP systems into the cloud. But the security, it's still on you. It's on the client, okay? Let's see what the security is for you when you are in SAP RISE. So it's a shared responsibility model of security, like every cloud provider. The security, it's on you. In this case, SAP is also managing most probably your SAP, etc. But still, SAP on the private cloud edition, you need to. They are taking care of the security of the cloud. Okay, they check on the security in the network at OS level, database, application server, and some applications, not all the applications. Only operation and management access to the applications and data. So not what the users are doing, only the ones who are working on the operations are being monitored from SAP. Security and monitoring of the cloud infrastructure. That's the infrastructure only. It's the same if you have it on premise. The infrastructure, usually it's already taken care by the InfoSec team. But when you are in the cloud, SAP, the application itself needs to be secure and monitored. That's something that it's usually missing, and that's the gap I was talking in my previous slide. So what is the security in the cloud, which the customer should take care? Okay, so it includes all data. The responsibility on the security and the data, it's from the customer. The activity that they have been doing, the access control, it's on the customer. Our customer needs to take care who has access to the data, who has access to the SAP, configuration, processes, etc. Again, the same as on-premise, it's the same in the cloud. It's the responsibility of the client. Security and monitoring for everything, all data. So again, the data, it's not a responsibility of SAP, it's a responsibility of the customer who needs to take care and put the measures to secure their SAP data. A little bit more, what are the threats, right? So what are the challenges? Before we have been, at the beginning, the first slide, we were talking about the challenges that partners and other customers have been shared with us. And now it's talking more about specifically on the RISE with SAP. We are talking about the S4HANA private cloud edition, for example. Starting from the left side, right? Application development teams take shortcuts and write bad ABAP or HANA code. Sometimes it's not that they are doing that on purpose. It's because the skills that they have been using, it was not focused on security, or security was less relevant in the past, or the people was not taking importance of the security when writing the ABAP code. We were always taking care about the performance. How is the performance of the system? Nobody was asking how is the security of this development, right? Nowadays, with the threat actors being more active everywhere else, but specifically in SAP, now people is talking about what is the security in my code development. Quality assurance and code review miss security vulnerabilities. Again, the code reviews and quality assurance was looking more for performance. That was one thing. And then the functionality of the code that has been delivered to us, if it was doing what it should be doing. So it was more a business review than a security and really code review. Again, bad code from internal and external teams, right? So if you don't have go through the change management without proper controls, we need to control and put controls on the change management process in order to ensure that the code that it's being delivered into our production system, it's being proper and properly, and it's working. It's not only for business processes, what we need to check and do the quality assurance and the code review, it's also for security. Then ensuring the SAP is configured securely with the right user access and the authorization level. As we have seen before, SAP in the RISE environment will take care of the operation teams, right? Or the management team, but they will not take care of the other users' authorizations. That's something that needs to be taken care by the customer. That's something that have been doing for years, right? Really, most of it using SAP tools like GRC or using other tools. But a lot of times it was something done manually, which it's something that it will be good to automate to ensure that everything is proper. SAP nodes, right? So SAP will take care of the hot news. So they will implement the SAP security nodes on hot news, criticality. But the other patches which are not hot news, it's difficult to get them implemented by SAP, or it's hard to raise a ticket for them to patch this, patch that. Security audit logging and tracking all authorized user activity. So auditors will tell you need to enable our security audit log. So you need to ensure that there is a log. Fortunately, a lot of us, we have our SAP with the logs enabled, but because the traditional CMs, they are not able to read SAP logs, at least, or the SOC team is not able to understand what is a threat in SAP. We need something to help us on checking what is activity in SAP and what are our threats in SAP. And that's the next point, detecting and mitigating malicious external and internal threat activity, right? So a lot of people said, my network is already in a closed environment. I don't have, nobody's accessing it, but we need to know that internal threat, it's more than 50% of the threats in our companies, right? Majority of the attacks come by internal threats. Also, if it comes with an external threat, we need to think about phishing attacks, which will hit someone in our internal network, and afterwards they will get access to our network. And from our network, they will get access to our SAP. And they have time. They have plenty of time. As soon as they reach our network, they are being unnoticed, and they are able to search for vulnerabilities in SAP and every other application in our network. So that's why we need to, considering SAP one of the crown jewels of most of the companies in this worldwide, we need to take care and we need to monitor what's going on in SAP. The last one, it's the compliance topic. As before, I was talking about compliance. Usually we are spending too many hours on compliance activity. Instead of having our basis team or whoever is doing the audit on checking proper things and doing good work, we are keeping them checking on compliant things. Check this parameter, fill up all this Excel sheet, which a lot of times it's taking hours and hours, which at the end, and my experience says that it's not motivating your SAP team, which is really hard to find good resources. And if you put them on doing this kind of thing, they will be not motivated and try to find another place to go. So how an apps it's trying to help you on that, right? We have to, as I mentioned, different products. So on the left-hand side, in order to focus on the code reviews and on helping on the quality assurance, etc. So we have our control for code. Control for code helps developers to develop properly, right? So at least to develop and focus on security as well as on the functionality, as well as performance. Our tool is able to focus on several domains. We are focusing on security. We are focused on compliancy, on performance, maintainability, data loss prevention. So we are trying to focus on all the areas where the developers are lacking some experience, and helping them on growing themselves, their skills, as well as ensuring the code that they are developing into your system, it's better and it's doing what it should do, and in a secure way. Control also helps on the quality assurance, and it will scan all new code as well as the migrating code. When we are talking about S/4HANA transformation or migration to the cloud, if we need to move the code, we recommend, first of all, to scan the legacy system and then move what it's good enough to be moved to the new system. That's something that we will talk in the next slide as well. Controls for transport. Even though we finish our migrations, nowadays we have our transports which are being moved from development to production. In most of the case, there is no review, or there's a manual review which costs a lot of time, and always it's only touching the surface of the code or the vulnerabilities that could be found in this code. In terms having control for code, it's not only checking for the code that have been doing for control for code, it's only checking for tables, authorizations, and other objects which could be included in control in the transports and be moved to SAP production and affecting your production system security. Assess, it's what it will help, as mentioned before, on the vulnerability management. Easily detect security misconfiguration and users misauthorizations. Next one, also with Assess, we are helping with the help of Onapsis Research Lab. ORL stands for Onapsis Research Lab, and our AI to help prioritize patches, to check what SAP security nodes are missing in your system and what vulnerabilities are present in your system, and help you on prioritize, giving the different tools that we have in order to help you on prioritize vulnerabilities and invert others. Defend. Next two chapters, it's about Defend, which will monitor user activity and alert you when the security audit log issues, there are issues or anomalies. What is a user which usually it's doing A, suddenly it's doing B. It could be something that it's normal, or because somebody asked him to do something, or it's an anomaly. So somebody in the SOC team should be checked. Nowadays, most probably your SOC team is not being aware of what's going on in your SAP, and even the SAP team doesn't know what exactly it's the users are doing in every transaction. As well as providing pre-patch protection from 0 days. We have the biggest research labs on SAP, and that helps us to find vulnerabilities and find 0-day vulnerabilities, which we are able, and most of the times, to detect and to alert you before there is a patch even for it, right? So it's helping you to give you more information about the threats which are attacking your SAP system. Comply. Again, the product comply, as I mentioned before, it's helping you on reducing the time on passing the audit, and also it's what we call the continuous compliance, being able to scan your system every time you want. You can set a process to scan your system for compliance every month in a matter of minutes. So you are ensuring that when the auditors come, everything is in place, and you don't have to spend more time on mitigating whatever the auditors are finding. Okay, it also reduce the time of the auditors being inside the company and searching for bad things in your company. So you could spend less time validating security and save at least 172K. It's difficult for security vendors to create ROI because we are talking about risk, right? How you evaluate the risk. Obviously, you can evaluate how much money it's crossing your SAP system. If you calculate that, your ROI will go higher for millions, right? Because most probably, most of you, the SAP is touching all the revenues of your company. So if FCP goes down, a lot of money will be impacted, right? But anyway, we have been across this number, $172,000 per year on the audit automation, right? Manual data extraction, communication, and investigation efforts, it takes a lot of time. So if you automate all of that, that will help you on reducing this amount of money. And we are not talking again on the risk that we are reducing, which will be much more money than that. So how to move to RISE or S/4HANA Cloud, right? So first of all, as I mentioned, we need to plan that, right? So in the planning phase, you need to introduce security. Okay, how do I introduce security in my planning phase on transformation? S4 system is not there. I don't have anything there. Well, as the data here, 92% of organizations consider existing customization as a problem on their path to S4HANA. So we know there is a lot of companies, or there are companies just reviewing code if it's properly set for S4 or not. So that's compatibility. So we are also extending that on checking the security. But how to do that? You need to check your legacy system. Your actual system needs to be checked in order to ensure that the S4 is properly secure at the end. 35% of organizations expect to face security challenges during the transformation. Most of this happens when you are leaving your security at the end of the project. That will delay your go live, because obviously when you are going to go live, security team will say, do you have that? Do you have that? Do you have that? You will miss some things and they will stop the go live. So we are recommending everyone to have the security in the planning phase. And most of the companies, for every project nowadays, not only for SAP, for other systems, they are introducing the security at the beginning. Okay. Implementation, right? In this stage, the customers are concerned about the skills of the people doing that. Usually, you will have someone system integration or some contractors who will help you on having those skills properly set, but still there is a lot of demand on high skills on SAP, and there is not that much high skilled people being able to come to your company and do the work, right? Also, the other step that it's something that we have seen in our research lab, in our HoneyNet, that after you implement a system in the cloud, after 3 hours, if it's internet facing, it will be detected for bad actors. If you don't implement patches right now, then in these 3 hours, somebody will try to get access to it and probably open backdoors to your systems. So use some tools to secure the system as soon as possible, right? While you are installing the first time your system, you need to secure it. And at the end, after post-deployment of your S/4HANA, you need to ensure that you keep your system. So all the things that you have been doing during planning and implementation, checking for vulnerabilities in the new system, in the old system, you need to keep it once you are go live. You need to stay on top of your SAP security notes. You need to stay on top of what your users are doing with Defend, and you need to stay compliant with all the relevant regulations that you need to follow. Just to finalize some key takeaways from these presentations. Okay, so just for you to, if you are not aware, SAP is a real target for bad actors, right? As I mentioned before, Synapses Research Lab has our honeynet with several systems, and we have seen in 6 months more than 300 attacks to our SAP system, most of them successfully using vulnerabilities which are known in SAP or whoever has SAP access to SAP security nodes, right? S/4HANA and cloud migration are helping information security to get involved in SAP security and finalize the migration faster. Okay. SAP security, as I mentioned, the gap from InfoSec and SAP, it's huge. So during these migrations, which is happening now, it's a good start for involving InfoSec into your SAP environment. Obviously, the next one, DevSecOps. Introducing DevSecOps for all your SAP development, it's key to secure afterwards your SAP landscape for the future. SAP teams, developers, they didn't do that in the past, as mentioned before, because of the SAP consider already secure. But there is a lot of security issues being found in those legacy code which have been done for the latest years. Automate the audits in your SAP system, ensure the risk reduction, and less audit investigation. Also, it will increase the happiness of your resources, SAP-based resources, for example, which they don't need to spend that much on taking screenshots of parameters, etc. And at the end, SOC teams get security alerts from SAP. Involve your SOC team to do what they know what to do, to secure your systems, to be alerted when needs to be alerted. So you need your SOC team to be aware that there is a software which is called SAP and also needs to be secure. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this session, and have a great day with iCON. Thank you.